Welcome back to episode 4 of the Pariah Pod. Today I am joined by Nabir, Faris, and a very special guest, Mahmoud Aryan.
Boomtown. Happy to be here. My name is Mahmoud. I'm a proud member of the Beham Gooners, supporting the Gooners ever since my mind could comprehend what the Gooners were. Happy to be here. Into plenty of fun things around this world, but the funnest of all is watching the Gooners alongside my Dhaka brothers.
Let's go.
Wow, what an intro.
What? That was beautiful.
And Mahmoud is filling in for our usual Abdulaziz Al-Mashouk, who, fortunately for us, is our live correspondent at the North London Derby at Emirates Stadium. We're going to cut over to him and what he saw over the weekend.
Era.
And we're back.
Wow.
Just like that.
That was crazy.
Just like that. An entire 90 minutes. And the
It's a rough
game
one.
ended 2-2. We had a relatively early goal by the Arsenal. A big deflection. I think it was registered an own goal. Spurs answered at the end of the half. We had a penalty in the second half, and Spurs responded right after kickoff. And the game kind of just fizzled out after that. Let me know your thoughts, guys. What are we saying?
Take it away, Mahmoud.
Take it away, bro. Mahmoud, start us off, man.
Wow.
Start us off.
Solo dribble in your first game? Let's see it.
It's hard to say. It's hard to wrap my mind around this game because first of all, coming into the game, Arsenal this entire season, especially in the Prem, we've been getting the results. We've been somehow managing, but up until that Champions League game midweek, to be quite honest with you, I have not been impressed. Been actually kind of worried, and I think today showed. I don't think we did enough. I don't think we created enough opportunities. That being said, I still think we could have easily won the game had we just taken advantage of some of the mistakes Tottenham made. But I feel like this is a recurring issue in our team, not only not creating chances, but also not taking our chances. And it really showed today. Tottenham, credit to them. They took their chances. You could argue they played relatively well compared to, the Emirates has become an environment that's not easy to come and play at. And they dealt with the pressure. They dealt with the fans. They dealt with the atmosphere quite well. So credit to Tottenham. And we'll see where we go from here, boys. honestly kind of worried, especially with their injury situation going on. What do y'all think?
Yeah, it's beginning to sound like a broken record, this whole we're not putting our chances away thing. From the game, I have three major lines of thinking. The first, I agree with you 100%. Like, I think even though we didn't play extremely well, I want to say in the first 30 minutes, we had an opportunity to make it at the very least 2-0. If all of our strikers were on it, probably 3-0. We had that big Nketiah chance, which, like, because Nketiah is the caliber of striker he is, we don't see that as a big chance, but I guarantee you if that falls to Haaland at City, that's a goal, and no one thinks twice about it, right? We had Jesus picking off, I think it was Madison in their box and skied the shot.
Yeah,
Those
that
are
one
the
should have been a goal. That one
those
should
are
have
the
been a goal.
moments that are gonna haunt us, I think. Like, we're at home. We know this game is one that really, really favors the home side. I think in the last 30 years, Arsenal have lost one derby at home to Spurs, right? So this is as good an opportunity as there is to beat them, because now we have to do it when we go away. The other thing I want to say is, towards the end of the first half, I think all of us can agree that we looked like we didn't know how to play anymore. And I think I was looking at this like from a different lens today, because obviously I was mad, on the actual day of the game. But I think there's a psychological element for the defense and midfield to see the offense be so wasteful. They're withstanding counterattack after counterattack, right?
Yeah.
And for the most part, I'd say this season, our strongest part of our squad has been our defense. They're putting in a tremendous amount of work, only to see our front line just put it all to waste. And I think at a certain point, it becomes like, what am I doing all this for, right? Like, and that feeling of like flustered, just like anxious play just begins to spread like a virus throughout the whole team, and it's like difficult to keep focus. And like,
Yeah.
it's no surprise to me that immediately after we're getting big links to Ivan Toney. Like,
In the same token, I feel like when our defense starts shaking, when we start missing chances, and their attack starts growing because they kind of feel like, oh, this is like a good opportunity. We would have been down more. Let's attack them now. That they're probably they get more encouraged to attack us. And going a little back to the game, I think, I mean, yeah, we have our injuries, but I just feel like Arteta made some very, very bad calls this game. Um, Beginning with starting with Nketiah, I feel like this was a game like, yes, on like if you thought about it initially, made sense. Sure, play Nketiah in the middle and Jesus on the right, but when you see things are not working out, you subbing off Jesus and keeping Nketiah on for however long, it didn't make any sense to me. What did Nketiah show that Jesus didn't show? That was
How would you have started the game? Who would you put instead of? Would you take an off Nketiah, or how would you have started?
I don't blame him that much based on our availabilities on initial picking of the Nketiah made sense to me, but to see how the game progressed and the changes he made was abysmal. I think like
Did Jesus start on the wing or did he start
he
up
started
top?
on the wing.
started on the wing. He doing most
Yeah, that confused me too. Then like it
No.
just seemed
I,
like
I think the starting was
options
spot on.
wise. It
Like,
makes sense because Nketiah would be worse off than Jesus on the side, but obviously they're making up from it doesn't fit them, but obviously they gotta do
yeah.
what they gotta do.
I
But
think I don't think I think not substituting him was a mistake, but then I look at the bench and think, who do you sub on for him? What I think should have happened is, instead of Jesus being subbed, it should have been Nketiah. But I
yeah,
don't think the issue was that he didn't take him off later, because we just didn't have anything, which is a point of our injury crisis. But the second thing, I think, when I was reading this report by John Cross today about the Ivan Toney thing, he said any deal could possibly see Nketiah going the other way. And it's like such a sharp turn by the club on this, seemingly. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that Arteta gave him the 90 minutes to be like, go on, like, show me why I put faith in you. This is like your chance. Like I've stuck with you. I've defended you in the media every single chance I get. This is the game you've dreamt about playing your entire life. You dreamt about starting your entire life, right? Playing Spurs at the Emirates. If you're a Hale End kid, that's like as good as it gets, right? You have a full 90 minutes. Do something, and he didn't do it. And I think the silver lining I see is if Arteta finally grasps that we cannot move forward with him, then let it be.
I think the frustrating thing is, you know, in some Arsenal fans' minds, there's this glimmer of hope that given how young Nketiah is, that, you know, he could still fill that role. But I think we're soon realizing that this is who Nketiah is. These are his limitations, you know. Not the best guy in the air, not the strongest striker. I mean, he's quick, not the quickest guy on the field. You know, if you throw a couple chances at him in the box, you'd say he maybe make 1 in 3. Sometimes he pulls off a great finish, and we're all impressed by it. But the frustrating thing is, just given how young our squad is, and given how successful a lot of our young players were, we were hopeful and Nketiah was kind of step into this role and be like another Saka, you know, another ESR, even arguably another Odegaard. But I don't think he's got much time left, to be quite honest with you.
And I think the most frustrating thing, and I think the way Arteta used to justify playing him, and the way I would defend him to, you know, people that would hate on him, is this kid works really hard and like hustles. Like there's never a lack of effort there.
Mhm.
But the most frustrating thing in that game, in the last 20 minutes of the first half, if you just watch him, he did not do anything. Like we were suffocating from Tottenham's press, and every outlet ball was to him, and he gave it away, I think 6 times in a row. And when it was time to press, you could visibly see Odegaard being like, bro, please do something, like run, please, like literally pointing at him, like run. And he's not doing it. Like if you're not finishing, if you're not creating, if you're not pressing, what are you there for? Right? Like,
Well, maybe if that's like a one-off, like if you think that if Nketiah is doing that every game, sure, but maybe this game just positioning or instructions could have gone to him, could have confused. Like I don't know.
And look, we talked before we started recording about how Arsenal's standards are now higher. You cannot have an off game at all, first of all. And if you do have an off game, it cannot be while we're playing Spurs at home. Like that is not an option. And if you do that, it's grounds for you leaving. Like it's I get what you're saying. Like players have bad games. Do that when we're 3-0 up against PSV. Doesn't matter. Do that in a group stage game. Do that in a FA Cup game. Don't do that when we're like seriously trying to mount a title challenge. Like it's just like so disappointing.
Yeah, I don't know. Watching that as like a neutral, I think like it was kind of like a game of two halves. Like it just felt like after the goals, you guys kind of just relaxed a bit. Not relaxed, but like it was weird seeing. I think Spurs ended with like 60% possession in that game, which was just like I that should not be happening at home, especially at the Emirates.
You even look at the goals we scored. I mean,
Luke,
you could say we're
kind of handed to
incredibly fortunate. Like Saka's shot wasn't even on target. You know, gifted as an own goal. You know, just with VAR now, people are just getting fortunate in the box and fell in our favor. But apart from those chances, I mean, we had discussed the Jesus one, which he skied over, and Nketiah was one-on-one. I mean, angle wasn't in his favor. I can't really think of any other chances that we created that entire game.
Yeah, the second half, clear cut. The second half was like a drought. Like I don't think, like I think a lot of that 60% possession comes from the second half because we couldn't establish control at all. And I don't, and here's where I'll cut us some bail. I think there's a very real point to be made with the injuries we had that game. Declan Rice getting injured is like, he is our motor. You know what I mean? Like 5 games in, and this guy, like everything runs through him pretty much. I think Martinelli being out. Look, we talked about this game 2 weeks ago, and I said Martinelli against Pedro Porro, it was something I was so excited to watch, and I didn't get to see it. And not only did I not get to see that, his deputy, Trossard, also out. Like, I think from the get-go, it was going to be a tough game. We still should have managed, but with Partey, Rice, Martinelli, Trossard out, I think it becomes a very hard task.
And I think we struggle against any team with all those people out. Like not even just against Tottenham.
Yeah.
You know, we go to Brentford, or we go to any other team in the league. I don't see us having a dominating midfield presence with just Jorginho in there, to be quite honest with you. I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah.
It's, you know, having both Partey and Rice there were huge. Losing Partey was a big blow, but now losing Rice,
Like,
we don't have that physical presence in the midfield anymore.
Yep.
And
It's
it
not
comes-
long term though, is it, Rice?
No, Rice. So this is how I'm rationalizing and keeping calm. All four of those players I mentioned are scheduled to be fit by City, and
City-
if we show something in that City game with Rodri suspended, KDB injured, Grealish injured, Stones injured, if we can't win that game, then I will concede that, hey, title's not happening this year and top four might be a battle. Like that's the mindset I'm going to be in.
So I don't mean to sway away, but just, you know, it's interesting to me. And, you know, I'm not trying to slate this player at all or anything, but looking at the response online, I find it quite interesting that everyone is praising Saka so much after this game. And, you know, didn't have a bad game, didn't have a superbly amazing game, but I still didn't think he was up to par compared to what we would expect to see. But it's just, even the media, you know, praising Saka for this performance. And I just find it interesting that regardless of how we perform as a whole, especially in a game where I think everybody played poorly, I guess you could argue that Saliba was solid at the back the entire game, but I don't know how you guys were thinking about that in terms of Saka's performance.
I think Nibs made that point last week too.
Yeah,
Saka.
we've been talking about how like he hasn't been playing the best, but you know, like because he is the figure he is and he's getting on the score sheet with things like penalties, like it's fine for now. I don't even think he was even the biggest culprit. He certainly didn't have a great game to be deserving praise, but I think where the media really should have been critical was Martin Odegaard's performance. That was one of the worst games of football by him I think he's ever played. Like nothing was coming off. I think the only players that can like somewhat be proud of what they did on Sunday are Saliba, probably Jesus, not even if you consider that chance. Just Saliba and probably Gabriel. I think Ben White looked lost at times. Like Saka, to your point.
Saka got spun in the corner by Madison. That led to the first goal.
After
no one's talking about that. No one's talking about that, you know. People just want to dish out Nketiah for, you know, missing his chances. But literally, Saka's mistake led to a goal for Tottenham.
No, that's 100% correct. And I don't want it to seem like we're blaming Nketiah for the loss. I think overall the team didn't play well enough to deserve a victory, but I think we could have stolen a victory had our strikers been a little bit more clinical that day.
I think like maybe looking at a little bit more positives. Also, I just feel like the goals we conceded, you know, we would concede on a regular like better day. I feel like even the Suns first finish was so like pinpoint inch perfect.
Yeah, he got it over like three defenders.
That's the most typical Tottenham goal against us.
Yeah.
You know?
Like,
remember Lamela a couple years ago?
Yeah, through Partey's leg,
Yeah,
Rabona. Like there's a picture of that Son goal, and around him are the three players I would want defending anything, and it's Gabriel, Saliba, Rice. And his shot squeezed through, and it hit the post and went in. Like even if it had not hit the post, Raya was there. You know what I mean? Like it was just one of those things. And I agree that second goal, I don't even want to hate on Jorginho. I don't think he's a player that does that kind of thing often. It's just like one of those unfortunate things that happen. I'm not gonna say like, oh, I never want to see him on the pitch again. Like I know he knows he messed up, and that kind of thing can happen. And that's the kind of thing you should expect from a third string player, right? Like I don't expect to see him on the pitch often anyway. So
Like I would expect that from El Neni, but not Jorginho.
that's
Uh,
true. But when you don't play for that long, I feel like you lose a little bit of like
But
match sharpness.
again,
Jorginho praise.
you came on the field to be the holding midfielder, to dictate the play. And at the most crucial moment in the game, you just had to kick it away. You just had to
He
kick
had
it away.
so much time.
And
Or grab the freaking guy, drop him, get a red. I don't give a damn,
yeah,
bro.
pick up the ball with your
Exactly.
hands, like anything else. Like
yeah,
It was like, oh my god, it was so frustrating.
I just want to grab him and shake him. But hey, what's done is done. I look forward now to City and to see what happens in that game. I think before we move on from this game, it's important to quickly touch on the goalkeeper discourse that's going on. I think it might be raps for my dog, Rambo. I think that's it.
It's pretty crazy how this thing turned around, man. I honestly thought that Raya was just gonna get maybe cup games and go far with the cup with him, but this is a statement by Arteta. I don't know, like honestly,
I didn't see anything that like would be
Yeah.
like, you know what, he needs to be starting.
Yeah,
Like
I think
over
Raya
Ramsdale,
had a
like
great
that
game.
clear.
I think Raya had a great game.
oh, you mean like
I feel like Ramsdale could have made the two saves that Raya made that were like the big saves. If you mean like
yeah.
distribution,
Distribution's the key.
I agree in that I don't think Raya did anything wrong in the game. I think he played well, but there were moments in the game where I thought his distribution could have been better.
I
And
think he had a Ramsdale distribution game from this season. You know what I mean?
what does that even mean?
Like
Ram-
the way Ramsdale's distribution has been this season, I think Raya equaled that in that game, and in the 2 games previous, he far surpassed that. Like
Yeah,
I
I
think
remember the Everton game, he was incredible. The Champions League game, incredible as well. And like to be fair, everybody played like shit last game. So I mean, who are we to single out one player? But
was
I
bad.
don't know. Like Ramsdale is the type of player that's fun to get behind. Just like maybe I think from the documentary, and we met his family, and he's just kind of came out of nowhere. And I remember when we first signed him, we're like, who the hell is this guy? Like throwing cash at him. And I mean, he's done well, but you can say he made a good amount of mistakes last year. I remember specifically that Southampton game, first minute of the game, bam, gives him the ball goal.
Dude.
And that just changes the trajectory of the entire game.
You're right.
But you know what? You know why I find it hard to be so hard on him? There's also that Liverpool game where he saved us from losing. Like
he has equal good moments. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
But the crazy thing is, I don't think this season at least he made any crazy errors for him to be like just drop like that.
what about the Fulham game?
Huh?
Didn't he have an error in the Fulham game? Or am I blanking?
No, I don't think so.
Nothing crazy.
I think he starts on Wednesday though. We have a game on Wednesday. I think he
The
plays.
Fulham game, they scored off a corner, right? They just like
But wasn't there one goal where they like shot it outside the box?
no. The Fulham game was like 1-1, right? And then they scored off a corner in like the last.
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
Unless
think
we're
it's something else then.
I think that's it for the Arsenal game. Yeah.
You don't want to touch on Spurs?
I think
I
I've
have to do
given
this
enough
every
credit
time.
to
I gotta remind you every time.
I think
Listen.
I gave enough credit to Spurs when we started. So
I'll give them major respect for not playing scared.
Yeah.
They came and they played their game, but here's where I will refrain from praising them too much. There were so many mistakes in their game.
Yeah.
Any competent side would have beaten them that day. And we just weren't that. And because we were worse, I'm not going to comment too much on them. I think I saw a lot of talk after the game about how good of a game Udogie had. I think he got exposed in the first 30 minutes. And any fullback that gets exposed like that for a stretch as bad as he did, I don't think you could consider them to be a fantastic left back like they've been claiming. I think Bissouma definitely lived up to the hype. I think he was probably their best player, if not Madison. Son looked sharp. I mean, that finish where Jorginho made his mistake, I don't think that's something Nketiah or Jesus convert as easily as he did, right? Like,
that was side foot was nice.
Like it's a credit a very big credit to the caliber of player he is, to where when I saw Madison pass it to him, I was like, that's a tie game, right? Like, so like like I said last week, he looks to be back from that dip in form he had last season, and he'll be a threat this year for sure.
One player that I actually liked that maybe I didn't care enough about to talk about before was their goalkeeper. Actually, I thought he was impressive. He was coming out like grabbing corners, grabbing high balls, like pretty decent. Like I was surprised because I didn't even know who he was like 4 weeks
He had
ago.
a good game. I don't think most Spurs fans knew who he was when he
I
came.
think he had like multiple great games. Like I've seen clips here and there of him just making some crazy saves. But also on the Tottenham aspect of things, I think I mean they have played Man United, Bournemouth, Burnley, Sheffield, and us. This was the game that I feel like I thought, oh, they're gonna get really exposed, and I wish we had done that to them, but like I think we just fumbled the game. I really am gonna judge Spurs on like after they go through like a good run of opponents, because they've really just played like really bad teams. I guess as well, but we'll see. I mean, they show promise. They look good. It's just I just feel like for a team, if I just look at Spurs and Chelsea, like I feel like Spurs has a lot of new players and they're like meshing really well. I expected that of Chelsea too, but I feel like Spurs had just a quick start, and then with the Man United fumble, they really gained momentum and just are going. It's like two-sided coin of things. I feel like Chelsea could have easily had the same amount of start or same start as Spurs, but they just like once one thing went down, is just like going down for Chelsea again and again and again. And I feel like that's a good to the Chelsea game. We can talk a little bit about the Chelsea.
Wait, not yet. We're saving that. We're saving that. I think first let's go to the Newcastle game. 8-0, I believe it was. Nibs, I think you have to answer for this. I think Nibs had them finishing.
Yeah, I'm supporting Nibs on this. You don't got to answer for anything.
Listen,
you can just say that the newly promoted sides all need to just go back down immediately.
This is nothing to be boasting about.
I think scoring 8 goals is something to be boasting. We haven't been able to do that in Arteta's entire tenure.
I'm not gonna lie, there's ruthlessness in there. I personally believe we don't have any ruthlessness in our whole squad. Maybe there's a little bit coming from Rice, but like our squad is soft as a pillow. Like there's nothing ruthless about us. I feel like every other team, even the freaking Brentfords and all these people have some ruthlessness. We just don't have that in us. So
Newcastle definitely have like some punchable faces, which I'll let Mahmoud carry on.
Some punchable faces.
No, just you want to talk about Newcastle, dude.
No, I mean, like, sometimes these games come around. I remember I think last year, Liverpool beat Bournemouth 9-0.
Yeah.
And kind of came out of nowhere. They fizzled out and had a good run of form towards the end of last season. I mean, these games happen. Credit to Newcastle. Like, we know what's going on there, but it's a long road ahead. I mean, I feel like the Champions League fixtures already impacting us. I can only imagine what it does to them. And they didn't have that great of a performance in the Champions League. Am I right?
Oh,
yeah, no,
really bad.
They like stole a draw somehow. Liao just was going for like show business tricks in the penalty box. They didn't have a good game, but like, I don't know, like if you could play a game midweek, come and win 8-0, even if it's against this level of opposition, I think when we made those Champions League arguments, when we did our predictions, this is the type of game where I'd expect them to struggle a little bit at least, right? But it was a cakewalk. I do agree with you though, Forrest, that this might be the worst class of promoted teams in the history of the Premier League. Like these guys all suck, and it might be the only reason Chelsea stays up.
Like, going to that 8-0, I mean, if we were to win a game like that, of course, we would all be incredibly happy. But, looking, if you think about a scenario where let's say we beat Everton last week when we played them 8-0, and then we tied this weekend with Tottenham, or we would have had the same result, just scrap the win at Everton, and we barely win by Tottenham. I mean, I would take like a 1-0 win in both of those scenarios rather than an 8-0 and a draw.
No, I totally agree. I think the game against PSV is case in point of that, right? Like we won 4-0, or was it 5-0? 4-0, and for what? Like only to drop a level. But I will say where this becomes relevant is like I think the table will be pretty tight this year, and I think goal difference is definitely something that will become a factor. And something like I regretted about our team last year was not racking up goals in games where we were dominant, because I thought maybe it could go to that. And I think with how packed this top 8, top 9 teams in the Premier League are going to be this year, we'll definitely see cases where like it's a 1 point difference or no point difference. So
has that ever come down to that? Come down to goal difference?
I think the year we missed Champions League to Spurs, it would have if we had gotten one more draw. Yeah, like, and it's like very plausible,
I think when City won the league the first time,
Mm-hmm.
I knew they were tied, and it was goal difference. And
Nibs, you're muted.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Like they're good. Like they play like pretty Brexit ball. Like they'll score goals against these teams. But like when I was watching them against Milan and them like playing against like a pretty structured side that were pretty technical, like them trying to play the same physical, like just throwing themselves at the ball and stuff, it just didn't work. Like Sheffield, like I feel like once Sheffield let the fourth one in, like I was like, this could be like 20-0. Like it wouldn't change. Like they just look so bad. Like it's just like a one-off to me. But like I do think Newcastle are still a good side, and they'll probably, I think I had them still top 4, top 5. Like they'll still reach that. So yeah, I'm not taking too much away from that win.
Fair enough. Now let's transition to a segment I'm very excited about. Last week we posted on our TikTok and we gave everyone in the comments an opportunity to influence our show, give us topics. And one comment in particular, I think, has been very relevant to a result this week. And that is a deal requested that we talk about Chelsea. He said he needs a full analysis of this mid-table Chelsea team. And he asked, is it safe to say they're beyond bad form? How much longer will this go on?
Was that word for word? What do you say?
Word for word, bar for bar.
All right. Should we just recap the game first, probably?
Sure.
I was probably like the only person watching Chelsea while everyone else is watching North London Derby. And even then, I had North London Derby on the TV and Chelsea on the laptop. So those are my priorities for that day. But really, it's been the same game, like 6 games in a row of Chelsea, having good possession, having good metrics, stats, bullshit, XG, whatever, and not a single player being able to put the ball in the net. And I don't know if I can take it anymore, dude. Seeing Jackson throw on goal, Sterling throw on goal, and then like whatever, like the red card decision. I don't know if you guys saw that, but like
Gusto?
being not, yeah, Gusto's red card, not being able to like stop one mistake or one like counter or create anything from that, like from that point on, I don't know what else Pochettino as a manager can do, because I think the buildup was good. I think the players were doing good. There were multiple missed chances. Like you can't put those on the manager. And this is just speaking from what I saw from Chelsea fans discourse. Oh, like Pochettino out. That stuff's already getting started. You know how it goes. Like I don't think you can blame him, and the blame game itself has to just go much higher. And that I feel like is a different conversation, talking about like the board and stuff, and not the money not being spent. I would never say that, but more about where it's been spent and who we brought in. And like, there was a report saying, we weren't targeting players above 25, and then seeing like Jared Bowen score, seeing James Madison score, players that would easily come in and be able to put chances away. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. And yeah, it was just like it felt like the same game I've watched since the beginning of last season. Just struggle to put chances away, give one goal away, heads go down, match, final whistle blows, and Pochettino says, "Oh, we played good," and yeah, not good, not good.
So I didn't watch the game, but I watched the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
Sterling was through on goal, and he had Nicholas Jackson a square two for an easy 1-0 prior to the red card. And
Yeah,
I saw fans talking about it, how and we talked about it last week, if you remember, how you in your squad are lacking experienced players, right? To do the right things, to know like the fundamentals, right? And you have probably one of your more experienced players, if not like your second most experienced player in the whole team. Like Sterling has won
yeah.
everything bar the Champions League, right? And he's there and he knows the position you're in, and he's the one making the wrong decision in that case. Obviously, that's one example, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a microcosm of a bigger problem where your inexperience in the whole squad is like spreading. Like everyone is becoming worse and worse. Like, I don't know, man. I saw a stat that Leicester have scored more Premier League goals than you in 2023, and they currently play in the Championship. And I
Yeah,
think
that's cute, bro. That's cute.
it's a very worrying period for you. And the big thing for me is I don't see a way out, like at all.
What we thinking
Oh yeah.
about the injuries? When are they coming back? All your players.
Um, I mean, it depends on it. Like from like Reece James, it's probably like a few weeks, and like Nkunku is like a few months. Like, and there's not like one set for everything. But I know we
All
have a handful of guys in training now, like Body Shield and who else am I thinking of? Probably yeah, Reece James again. Like we have some guys coming back, but like yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, right? We're talking about these injuries, and I believe Chelsea fans when they tell me, "Hey, we have so many starting players injured." I just don't think your starting players that are injured are that much better than what's out there right now, barring Reece James and Nkunku. I think those are your two like level raisers. But besides them, like when I hear Badiashile is training, it doesn't move me at all, like at all.
I mean, I don't know what else to say to that than like just take my word on it. He's a good player. Like he would
I know, but
probably
listen, like did Badiashile play for you last season?
yeah, before he got hurt, he played
Exactly. And
most of the
in
first half.
2023, you have been one of the worst sides with him playing. You know what I mean? Like,
That is true, but I wouldn't even looking at last year, he went through again, like he came in January, he played probably like a month, a month and a half, and then was just hurt. Like and at that point we were still in the Champions League, like we were round or quarterfinals we got to. Like yeah, in the league we were struggling, but like, we weren't doing that bad elsewhere. And then of course once the panic mode hit and then he brought Lampard in and stuff, it just got worse. But I agree with your point. Like I think Reece James and Nkunku are the two guys that we just would like to have right now. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be like just playing as poor as we have the last 5 6 games. Especially because like we have enough talent, man. Like I see it every week. Like I see good players, I see good decisions, good things, and then it gets to the final third, and like we go blank. And
listen though,
and
listen.
now like yeah,
So we talked about a timetable for return of these players, right? Let's say Reece James comes back in like 2-3 weeks, right?
mm,
You are currently right. You are currently in 14th place with 5 points after 6 games, right?
yep,
And your
Lit-
next two fixtures, which Reece James will for sure be out for, are Fulham away and Burnley away. I don't think Fulham away is an easy game by any means. I think Burnley away is a slightly more manageable. If you don't pick up points there, it's very likely you won't pick up more than 4 points until December 9th. Let me just read out your fixtures in that period. You're starting off with Arsenal right after those two. Then you're not going to Brentford. Brentford's coming to you. You have Spurs away, City at home, Newcastle away, Brighton at home, United away, and then December 9th, you have Everton away, which I will also say is not the easiest of games. It can get very, very scary for you.
It's not looking good, my guy. And
Brother,
you know, I keep hearing this talk of Reece James, but has it occurred to you, is it worth investing so much in this player who consistently lets you down with his injuries?
yeah, I mean that's a good question. You could kind of pose that to like half the squad. I know Reece James has been hurt for a long time, and he's kind of never has had like a good stretch for us in the last year and a half. But what are you saying? Like in investing in like
Like
wages or
not
something like
moving
that?
on
Like
from.
Is it time to move on?
no, I wouldn't say that.
Because all I hear is, he's your captain, right? He's a right.
Yeah, he was.
I'm getting I mean, I don't mean to compare this to Arsenal. I'm just getting Jack Wilshere,
Share. Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
honest with you.
I was thinking the same thing.
Great talent, injuries all over the place. Never got a good run in the
Yeah.
team.
So,
And it becomes too little too late.
and look, Forrest, you were just talking about like, you said like, obviously these problems have started since the change of ownership, or like not started, but have been exacerbated. And I know you're not complaining about the spending. What do you make of this guy Egbali going down to the dressing room after the game?
Yeah, no, I'm not like a fan of that. It's like it doesn't happen for most other teams besides like the kind of the yeah, I have not seen that before. So no,
Wait, what
I
happened?
personally
Can someone tell
Their
me?
co-owner went into the dressing room after the game, and it was reported by like
Did he
all the
rough him
media.
up? Did he rough him up?
I see. The thing is, if I'm a player and I just got beat right by a side that should not be beating me, and I've played professional football my entire life, and this rich Persian dude that runs a hedge fund comes in and
I'd be
starts
like, Daddy,
talking to me about principles of football, I would throw shoes at him.
yeah, I'd be like, get the hell out of here. Chill,
Please,
Daddy.
like, what are you doing here, bro? Like, I think it's
no,
so performative, bro. Like, what could he tell the players that they don't know?
which also makes me wonder like what is being reported. Like if he goes into the locker room, like if he do they know what he's actually saying in there? Do you know who he's talking to? We just hear that he's just gone down the tunnel, you know?
Bro, but
But
what
like
reason?
this has been happening for a while too. Like even last year, like Todd Bowley went into the locker room a few times when it was getting really bad, and then he would always come out and the manager would be like, I have the full support of the board. That's like a death sentence. If the board goes into the locker room, the next day they say they have the support.
Yeah.
Because the same thing happened to not Tuchel, but it happened to Graham Potter, and then he got like fired the next day. So no, personally, I don't like it, and I think they don't even understand that they are to blame for a lot of this. Like Bali, Boli, Clear Lake, all these ownership guys. Like I would put so much of what has happened in the last 2 years just on their like naivety, ignorance, whatever you want to call it, on how to build a squad and how to, do well in the Premier League. They've tried to like do a 10-year plan in like 2 seasons of just like integrating these young players and cycling out all these experienced players. And like, if you ask me like individually, like, oh, if you do you want to move on from Kai Havertz, I'd be like, yeah, I want to move on from Kai Havertz. I don't think he's performed well enough. But like to move on from Havertz and Mount and Jorginho and Kovacic and like every player that has like defined us the last 2-3 years, and then bring in players that we can't even get onto the pitch, like Lavia or Caicedo, who's missed like 2 games. Like so much of them is like they're like playing it like I feel like they would handle American sports teams, just like these transfers in and out left and right, just so many like changes happening, and they haven't really like clocked it yet, and they still haven't understood, like, which makes no idea.
I'd make a counterpoint. I would argue if they really treated this like American sports, they would have been 20 times more successful. they tried to football hipster this whole operation. Like instead of buying £1 billion worth of like star players, starters, they said, no, I want 30 kids from Brazil, 10 from France, and we're going to create footballers. We're going to turn into La Masia and start teaching football philosophy here. Like
the point I was trying to
American
make was
culture
more
is go get Curry, go get LeBron, put them on a team together and win 10 chips, right? Like he didn't do that.
I was trying more to like relate it to because he also owns the Dodgers and they have like their it's kind of just a baseball thing, but they have like their minor league affiliate like where they like farm a bunch of young players. And he's doing the same thing there. And like the Dodgers got to a final or something. I don't really know that well, but then they're like struggling again. And seeing that like happen here is just so frustrating, man.
But
Because
bro, Boley's also part owner of the Lakers. Like he understands the concept of bringing in stars to win. You know what I mean? Like I get your baseball point, like, but
yeah, the struggle is also like there's like so much structure in American sports when it comes to wages, transfers, salary caps. Like he probably came here and they're like, yeah, bro, you can spend as much as you want. He went
bro, his
crazy.
eyes turned into dollar signs. Like it was like, what? And he still fumbled it. Like, Faris, is it not crazy to you that you spent the amount you spent and the highest caliber player you bought was Christopher Nkunku? Like, all credit to him. But, like, that's the best player you got.
But I think
Enzo.
Enzo is a project player, bro. Like, of course, he won a World Cup, played good, whatever. But he, like, when I hear Enzo Fernandez, my eyes don't light up like it would with like a Modric, Toni Kroos, Bernardo Silva. Like he's not exactly even.
I would disagree with that genuinely. I think if you dropped Enzo Fernandez into any functioning team right now,
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about pedigree. He doesn't have it. Like when I say project player, I mean like he is so early in his development. Like with the amount of money that you spent, you should have been buying like finished articles. Like I agree, like it's important to invest in the future, etc. But let's discount whatever.
Your point there would be saying as if Enzo's been a worse performer on the team when he's arguably been one of the better performers on the team.
Look, when I say that, I'm not trying to crap on Enzo. I'm saying caliber of player you brought in, the highest caliber was Christopher Nkunku. Unless you're arguing that Enzo is a higher tier player than him.
I mean, I don't know specifically like what tiers I put them in, but I would say Enzo is one of the best midfielders you could go out and get. Price tag alone, like whatever, but like I'm saying, him playing for us right now is like he's like really the only positive thing I've seen in the midfield. Even Caicedo has been like a really rough transitioning into that game, and that's
what are you comparing him to?
Yeah, like
say that again. No,
it's easy for him to shine. Again, I'm not shitting on the guy. I think he's a good player.
Yeah.
But when you're surrounded by stale, dull performances by everyone else, it's quite easy to make a statement and stand out.
I think similar goes for Caicedo. Like him and Enzo are great profiles that will likely become great midfielders in the next 5 years. Like probably some of the greatest in the game, right? But they're not there yet. And like they are, I know Enzo sometimes shows a lot of maturity, but like when we talk about seniority and like, you know, status that you bring, he doesn't have that. And you paid what you paid. And like,
I don't think Bully's plan was that though. Bully executed his plan and he just went in with it. Like he didn't do like half and half. He went full on under 25 and he called it a day. It's not working out. And you know,
when he first came and he was working with Tuchel and he was like, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna sign any player you want. And Tuchel's like, give me Sterling on huge wages, give me Koulibaly, give me Cucurella. All players that have not lived up, like Koulibaly's not even there. Wesley Fofana hasn't played, like his leg's been broken for a year and a half. Like Bowley was like, okay, you know what? That was awful. I just spent 300 million on players that are garbage because I listened to the manager whose talent ID is not really there. Then he brings in these sporting directors, the hipsters, as you called it, like people that look at the metrics and the stats, and they're like, okay, let's go and build out, like, let's get all these top young talents. Even then, if the like Enzo, like I from what I saw in the World Cup, from what I saw a short time at Benfica, like that's a player I would say, you know what, he's a good player. I don't mind us going after him. And the games that he's done for Chelsea this year, like I would not put any blame on him in the
Right.
losses and anything. Like there's so much more. Like the teams that he was playing in, like he had Levi Colwill was playing a left back, and then he had Thiago Silva, who's like 40 years old behind him, and then he had Ben Chilwell has been playing left wing. Like it's just like that's sure that's coaching, but like Enzo is still like whenever I watch a Chelsea game, he never comes up to me as like we lost because of him or we didn't win because of him. Like he is doing his job.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I just kind of just want to say, honestly, I think there's no easy way out of this for you guys. And I
Yeah.
think you just got to ride the Poch train for as long as you can. You
Me-
guys just need time. You just got to, it sucks. You're in the divot. It's going to be like that for a while.
Oh, I know that, and
But
I'm not anywhere near saying I want Pochettino out,
yeah.
but
But I think if you if you start getting in this cycle of, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, you know, you you all in the past have been successful with that. You guys went on and won the Champions League after a rinse repeat mid-season. So, who knows what can happen. But I just think things are so bad right now that I just think you guys have a solid manager. You have a Premier League proven manager. And
yeah,
if I was a Chelsea fan, I would just be like, hey, let's just ride it out. We can't get much worse than it is right now.
yeah, that's been the general sentiment for me too, and especially because like you watch the full match and you're just like one thing goes the other way and like it's 3 points, like it's just like it's not like we're going through full games where the opposition has like 15 shots and we have zero and we are have like no possession. Like these are the small margins that unfortunately are going to dictate a lot of people's jobs in the future, Pochettino's included. Like we cannot go to Fulham and Burnley and not get out with wins. Like those are two games because especially they are come right before the next international break. If we don't have 6 points before then, I'm like 90% sure they're gonna get rid of him. No matter what, because the position they put him in is their own fault. They're like Pochettino, we hired you, here's 30 kids, make it work. Like, and then he's gonna get scapegoated. That's just how it's been under these new ownership. And like it just sucks, man. It really is not good right now.
So to definitively answer his question, how much longer do you think this will go on? Not what should happen, what you think will happen.
And that going on is us like not winning,
Yes.
I'm guessing. It's gonna go on for a while. Like I do not see really a positive way out of until December. Like the next stretch of games we have is literally the most insane combination of things I've ever seen. It's like position 1 through position 9 we're playing. And I think like as of right now, like we're not even on track to get out of the bottom 10. Like finishing ninth is like I was like sixth would be nice, but the finishing ninth would be like, at least we got out of the bottom 10. Like it's
Crazy
looking
times.
so
We're
it's
we're
looking
in
so
crazy times.
insane, dude.
Well, I think Adil got probably the best answer he could have. The next question we have is from Zaid, who asked,
Oh wow.
need a Mount Rushmore of the 2010s era. And just to, jog everyone's memory, some of the names I'm thinking right now, you got your Messi, Ronaldo. I think those are two locks. To fill the other positions, you got your Neymar, your Suarez, your Lewandowski, your Bale. I think personally, I've thought about it a little bit, and my Mount Rushmore is Lionel Messi first and foremost. He's like George Washington of it, you know what I mean? Then we got Cristiano Ronaldo, and then we have our magician Neymar, and cap it off with who I think is the best striker of that decade, Luis Suarez.
Can we do it without Messi and Ronaldo?
Yeah, let's do it without.
Actually, yeah,
Or
that
should,
would be.
should we do like Premier League focused or you
I
still
think
want
the
to do
world. I think the world.
Okay.
We can do both.
I think it's a good idea to do it without Messi and Ronaldo because they're like, a level above. I don't know. That becomes a harder conversation. I think things you have to factor in are who won the World Cups, who won the Champions Leagues, right? Legacy defining moments. I think it's unlucky for that Spain team that they fell right at the beginning of the decade and probably, like don't count. Like you would think like players like Xavi and Iniesta should be in that conversation, but really like careers dwindled probably halfway through. I don't know. What are you guys thinking?
I mean, definitely Suarez. I think even at Liverpool he was incredible. Um, Someone that comes to mind that maybe you all will agree slash disagree with is maybe he hasn't won much,
Ozil?
but Yaya Toure. I think
Ooh.
I think he gets forgotten, but that man could boss the midfield and just control the game and just drive through the midfield. And I haven't seen a player play like he does since he stopped playing.
Mhm.
I didn't expect to hear that. I gotta take a second to yeah too right. That's
Wow.
my clear like if we're doing Mount Rushmore, my clear number one would probably be like Eden Hazard.
Mm.
After that, what we get into, I could just call the
Yeah.
pod now,
Oh,
but
man.
I'm gonna leave it with Hazard at one.
Oh
And I'll
man.
leave it with Sayed Kolasinac as well. Okay.
That
I think
was
my four would be like I think Neymar. I'll
Hmm.
put I'll put Modric in there. I think Modric had a crazy
mm,
decade. I'll put um I actually put Bale in there too. I think Bale had a career that not many can repeat, and he was a supreme athlete, and I think he should be in there. And one last person, if I put, I'll put Luis Suarez.
okay. Faris,
Pretty good, pretty
finish
good.
your list off.
Yeah, sure. I'll put like Neymar. I'll put Suarez. I'll put Eden Hazard, and I'll put Modric. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go the two I said, Suarez, Neymar. I'll go Modric, and I think one player I think we all forgot about, the greatest defender of the decade, Sergio Ramos.
Uh,
There's really no debate. I think Sergio Ramos is the only player that the modern era can put up as one of the greatest defenders ever. Like he has won everything, and he
yeah.
has tapped in these sides to everything. Like it's not one of those things. Like I know when you're part of that Spain squad and part of that Madrid squad, it's easy to like like kind of ride your way to winning everything. But he was an influential player in those runs.
So just
I
Barca and Madrid players.
I'm
Damn.
just gonna throw two more names out there just to stir up the pot.
Okay, let's
I'm
get
gonna
crazy, man.
say Ian Robin.
Oh,
Oh,
Um,
that's good. That's good.
had great runs with his country and club, won the Champions League, almost got the Netherlands their own World Cup, and I think he went to the Netherlands to get the semis in Brazil. Is that right? I forgot. They
yes,
got pretty far. That's when RVP did the Flying Dutchman goal, and
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
um, yeah, I mean, you all said all the other good ones. Neymar, Modric,
Giroud,
Stop,
cheeky.
stop,
Olivier.
stop.
No.
Hey, I'm surprised we didn't hear a Mesut Ozil shout from any of us.
Ah, man, it's not even on that level,
I
I
think
think.
if we're talking talent, I think he might have been on that level.
No, I
But
mean, if you're talking about midfielders in the Prem, you got in that time period, David Silva was, miles ahead of Mesut. And I don't know, you can't forget like the Tony Cruz, Xabi Alonso. And you already mentioned the Xavi and Iniestas, but that was kind of they
so
weren't
I
in there.
double checked, and Iniesta actually didn't leave Barca till 2018. So
There you
he's a
go.
good candidate for. But I think Modric edged it for me. Like to take Croatia to a World Cup final, I think I got to give you your flowers.
And
Yeah.
some of the things he did was crazy.
Yeah, just to watch, it's
Some of the
great.
things Yaya Toure did was crazy.
That's all.
All right, bro. Like everyone, Yaya Toure moment.
So next we got a three-peat of questions from Yusuf. I think the one that's going to require the most debate is who's winning the Champions League. He says Manchester City are favored again. Thoughts? I think it's City's to lose, to be honest. I think they are by far the best team in the world right now, especially when you count like the injuries Madrid have, just the transition a lot of teams are going through. Like, I think their main threat is Bayern Munich.
I would say Bayern too. I think Tuchel's really good in cup competitions. He'll probably get to that final.
But that's not the question for us. He asks who's going to win the final.
Then I'll say Bayern. I'll stick with that.
Okay. Nibs?
Oh, go ahead, Nabir.
I think City will take it again, man.
Come on, bro.
Am I the only one who has faith in the Gooners?
And that's my answer as well. I think
So I think our team is not suited for the Premier League, to be quite honest with you.
Whoa.
So I don't think we have the depth. I don't think we have the tenacity yet. I don't think we have the experience, but something our team does have, we do have luck. We do have fortune. Fortune does favor the brave. And you saw throughout all of last season how many times we won in the very last minute of the game. And this isn't just something that just randomly happens. This fortune does favor the brave. These things happen for a reason. And these things can favor you in the league for a couple of games, but they don't truly favor you. They truly don't go in your favor up until cup competitions when it is simply just two legs and you're just down to the nitty-gritty between these games right here. I think we can grind it out, and I think we can do some surprises. I'm going for the Gunners.
Cool.
Champions of Europe.
doubling down. Exact same reasons. But I will say, I only believe this is the case if we sign Tony in January. I think we need a striker because, I agree with you that luck is an important factor, but it's also very important in cup competitions to take your chances when you have them, and I think that requires a striker. Otherwise,
Is Tony a guaranteed hit?
I think so. I think he's better than what we have, and that's all we need.
Start over Jesus.
Yes.
You saw how we talk about how Balogun missed two of his penalties back to
Dude,
back.
if Balogun hadn't missed two penalties that day, it would have been a bad day on Twitter. If he had scored both and we had the performance we had, oh my God, it would have been unbearable. To close out Yusuf's last two questions, he said, creamy or crunchy peanut butter? I'm going creamy.
I think creamy for me too.
I'm allergic to penis.
Okay.
No comment on the peanut butter one.
Okay. And then he also said, can you please talk about the political and economic state of the world right now? So we'll be skipping that question.
Will Smith's son.
Yeah. That's what he said.
That kid peaked in the pursuit of happiness. After that, just
where are we going?
He had a good song. Okay. Thank you for joining yet another a rendition of the Pariah pod. That was episode 4. It's in the books. You saw us get involved with the comments. You saw the comments decide what's going to happen on this show. So please, please, please do not make the mistake of scrolling past this video without leaving a topic for us, because we have a 100% response rate so far. So get in the comments and get involved. We will catch you in episode 5.
Wait. Next week, we're all going to be wearing jackets, so you can't tell who's morbidly obese or not.
Okay. I like that idea.
Peace.